Ready?
Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, the video game music podcast. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm that other guy. What's his name again?
Oh man, we got to get this right one of these days. I am Robert Belmont, and with me is my co-host...
Pernicholas. Darn it, what the heck is the other name? Never mind, forget it. I'm Pernell. Well, I'm going with it.
Yeah, Rob Nichols, Pernell Vaughn. Every Monday, we hang out. We
Pernell Belnades.
Belnades?
Mm-hmm.
Belnades.
It came to me.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, is that actually a name?
It's a reference.
Okay.
It just didn't click at first.
Every week we talk about video game music, the great video game music of the past, present, the future.
And then there's the fourth dimension.
And then the video game music from the fourth dimension. So we pick a topic and we get into it. We pick some of our favorite tracks and we try to coordinate what we've got and we have some fun.
Honestly, I could do that forever, to be perfectly honest with you, because really what it boils down to, just kicking back, listening to some classic tunes, sharing in the good tunes, and then hopefully sharing it with you, the listener.
Yeah, I hope you guys like the show that we've got planned out for you. Today is episode 3-10, which is episode 30.
That's a lot of candles on a cake.
And we decided for our 30th episode, we're going to do a few parts. So 3-10.1. No, it's just going to keep going. That's too much.
We're not doing web releases here or software releases.
No.
3-10.1.
Yeah, we got a few I got a few patches on my voice. Anyway, so we're doing Castlevania, but we're doing classic Castlevania today.
And we're leaving off on a cliffhanger, like typical season finales do. And then we're coming back.
Yes.
We're coming back with more Castlevania, but you don't know where we're going with it. You really don't.
Where we're going. So our cutoff today was the Castlevania X Rondo of Blood for the PC Engine, which came out in 1995. However, a lot of the Game Boy titles came out in 98.
Really?
Or as late as 98.
The Game Boy titles? Are you talking about Castlevania Legends at this point, though, aren't you?
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, making sure. Like, I'm pretty sure the one I'm thinking about did not.
Yeah, so I'm leading off with that one. So how about that?
You broke the system.
I broke the cardinal rule of today's episode, and also we're not even going to pick from Rondo of Blood. So
this is true. That's blasphemous, I'm sure, for a lot of people. But let's be realistic here. As Rob and a couple of our friends have already proclaimed, you really can't pick a bad Castlevania track. So even if we don't pick a track from your favorite game or your favorite track from said game, whatever, it's Castlevania. Well, they're all good.
Tune in next week for the bad Castlevania tracks.
Don't just spoiled it. You spoiled it.
Actually, a lot of my backups were like the more well-known tracks from Castlevania. So
what we did was we found an episode of The Cosby Show where they were playing Castlevania on the couch, and we took the track that they used for the Castlevania game on the show, and we put it onto an episode.
I just picked all of the Castlevania-themed episodes from Captain N, the Game Master, and I thought we would just play them on the show today. It's just the audio.
I'm sorry, but I'm not getting the bad part at all. I'm getting joyous. I'm getting a joyous reaction over here.
Pernell likes this.
Oh yeah, Simon Belmont. He married the mother brain almost.
Well, I don't remember any of this at all.
Oh, I remember.
All right, well, let's talk about this when we come back. I'm going to start things off. It's an even number episode, so I'm going to begin. This is from, like I said, Castlevania Legends for the Game Boy. I'm playing Stage 3, The Clock Tower of Darkness.
How are you supposed to see?
Don't worry about it. back. You're listening to the Clock Tower of Darkness, Stage 3 from the game Castlevania Legends for the Game Boy. This is by the composers Kaoru Okada and Yoichi Iwata.
Maybe it's because it's on a Game Boy, but these seems rather peppy to be composed for a Clock Tower of Darkness.
It does have, it is a little bit of like a faster kind of zippy tune, I think. But it's got that big adventure feel to it, which I really like from all the Castlevania games.
It is true. It does have that with a nice compact punch. I can dig this, though. I'm actually almost disappointed because you had that other track. It was another track that I thought it was going to be, and he was like, no, that's not it. I'm still loading it up.
Yeah, I had a few.
And I was ready to be like, yes, it sounds like a circus. And I was ready to get all excited about you having a circus track that takes place in a clock tower full of dark demons and such. But, no.
Well, there's still some dark demons going on here.
This is true, but these dark demons are probably more inclined to, kind of just jog up the stairs of the clock tower, drinking tea, reading the newspaper.
These are like, the zombies are doing like their kind of shuffle, but they're doing kind of a funky shuffle.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
I am a zombie doing my funk shovel. Funky shovel. That's the funky
shovel.
Do the funky shovel.
Just bury me whole, because that's all I'm good for is being buried.
What I liked a lot about this track was the way it resolves into the loop right here. It's kind of like an extra little bridge. I like that a lot.
It definitely has some punch. I'm a fan. I like the track very much.
It's got that really great thing that a lot of classic Nintendo and Game Boy tracks have, that the very beginning of the track sounds like the opening of a song, but then after listening through it, it sounds like the middle of a song also. So you never really feel like where the beginning of the song is. It kind of confuses you. I think it's cool.
It's hard to gauge. That's true, because we have been listening to this for a while, and I've yet to... I don't know when it started. So I think you are definitely right about that. It's just kind of one massive punch of a song.
Yeah, it's just kind of all over the place.
And I know somebody might be thinking, you might say, oh, well, obviously if you heard from the beginning, you would know. It's like, yeah, perhaps, but typically with a song, you don't have to hear from the beginning to know when it loops out again.
Yeah,
I can catch it.
I listen to a lot of Castlevania music, and I've played through very little of any of the games. I really love the music.
Well, on the positive, they're not hard to get into now, because that's the beautiful thing about a lot of retro games. They're all like, you can just sit down and play it while you eat dinner or something. Like, it's a very quick hit. Heck, I almost played a game last night until I realized I didn't freaking own it anymore. I was very upset about that. I must have sold it as a kid and never replaced it, but I remembered it so well that I thought I still owned it.
Oh, man.
That's how off that is.
Wow.
So it was like, you gotta do, but don't worry, I'm gonna find my way back to it at some point, because I gotta play it now. This episode, a lot of episodes from the show actually have a knack for getting me to want to play something, whether I own it or not anymore.
Yeah, I'd fired up the old emulator to start playing through Dracula, Castlevania 3 again, but just kind of ran out of time and then had to eat, so...
Yeah, there's always, when you're done eating, get right back to it.
Oh, man. Actually, it's a little rainy out. It's a little dark. It's kind of Castlevania thing to know about.
Yeah, that is true. Just get your whip and go outside. Adventure will come to you.
What a terrible night for a podcast.
Don't listen to him, folks. This is an awesome night for a podcast.
What's your track, buddy?
I'm going to go in a sort of order for this episode.
Cool.
So I am going to start with a track from Castlevania 1, the oft-forgotten of the Castlevania-brothers.
Okay.
The track is Stalker, and if I'm not mistaken, it's from stage 2 of the game. It's been a long time, though, so we'll find out.
Well, let's check it out.
Welcome back to the show, Rhythm and Pixels. You are listening to Stalker from the game Castlevania 1, written and composed by...
we have Kinyo Yamashita and Satoe Terashima.
I could be wrong for this, but this track is the first time a Castlevania file from the beginning was exposed to that which we have come to know and despise as the Medusa head.
Yes, objects coming at you from one direction and kind of a sine wave pattern, and always starting on the screen like wherever your character is vertically on the screen.
They are awful, awful things. I don't know where they come from. They come from some kind of, I don't know, I guess like a Medusa head cannon or a ball. They never quite showed.
I think it's a cannon. It's Dracula with like a cannon, but just full of heads.
And the zombies coming by and loading, like, load the Medusa heads. Like, you got it, boss. And they just start loading them up. They're screaming.
What kills me is like they're so predictable. You know the direction they're going in. You know their movement every time, but
doesn't stop you.
Doesn't stop me from just getting knocked down.
They freak you out. They do. They're freaking evil. And even though they've introduced later enemies in the series that have the same sort of flight pattern and they're larger, which should make them more frustrating, nothing quite tops the annoyance of the Medusa head.
Yeah, I like them that they're smaller because I don't like them because I find them more difficult because they're smaller because they're harder to whip.
This is very true.
Gotta whip it.
Gotta whip it very good.
And
accurately.
Accurately, because those things will mess you up. They'll mess up your day.
Get it straight. Move ahead. Whip it good.
This has a cool rhythm. I like the little hi-hats.
That's the other thing about this game, I remember, as far as music goes. I feel like I might be wrong, but I listened to every track, and I still actually remember what level each track was in, give or more or less.
Right.
But I feel like this game had tracks that looped faster than any other Castlevania game. Like, maybe they were getting in their stride, or... I mean, I wouldn't say it was new tech. I mean, Castlevania wasn't one of the first NES games, for sure. It was just the first Castlevania game.
Yeah.
But it definitely... the tracks loop very quickly from when they start. But
I think that's also like a lot of the older NES titles were like that too. Because like some of the newer, like not newer, but the later life cycle of the NES, and also has to do with sometimes Western composers have longer tracks.
Oh.
I'll play for you the soundtrack to Silver Surfer. Has like 4 tracks and they're super long.
So you'll play for me the soundtrack of your people.
My people, the Silver Surfer?
The Silver Surfers.
Why are they my people?
I don't know. You want to play me their music, you tell me. I just kind of figured I knew all along, of course, but you just kind of verified
I'm just here to tell the world that it is going to end.
By the power cosmic on NES.
I don't know anything about the Silver Surfer, to be honest with you. I was just kind of reaching in my nerd brain. What had I heard?
He wants you to think.
It's true. It's true. Don't know much about superheroes or whatever that guy is.
Don't know much about superheroing. Don't know much about cooking bros. But he knows a lot about musical taste, and he's picking out an awesome song starting now. What's up?
All right. I'm going out of 8-bit. I'm going to Super Castlevania 4. Not just Castlevania 4. Super Castlevania 4. And there wasn't a regular Castlevania 4. They just jumped right to Super.
Oh, you know the trend for that, right? That was during
it was there. Everything was Super something.
Oh yeah.
And then when the N64 came out, it was something 64. And then when the Wii came out, it was whatever Wii whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
And now
Super Golf Wii.
Super Golf Wii, and now or Super something DS.
It is kind of an odd trade of theirs, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think it's lazy. But
you know what their games are, don't you?
Sometimes. I know there's like 8 Mario Karts, right?
But you know there's a Mario Kart 64. You don't have to go...
There's got to be.
Let's play Mario Kart wash bikes or Mario Kart. Whoa, we got an accident.
That's right, because there isn't a regular Mario Kart. There's only a Super Mario Kart.
Exactly.
Because regular Mario would not be driving that kart. Super Mario would be driving that kart.
Oh, he would be driving that kart.
And I think that's how I worked it out in my brain to be okay with it.
See? Now, it suddenly makes sense.
Yeah. All right, coming out, Super Castlevania 4. This is the submerged city on the Super Nintendo. And we're back. You're listening to The Submerged City from Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo by Masanori Adachi and Taro Kudo. And this is... I love how many movements there are to this track. And just the jazziness of it. It's got that cool, swingy, but 3/4 time rhythm. Oh, it's so neat. It's cool. This is a cool track in like the jazzy, cool sense of the word.
We were just talking about this because when this track came on, I kind of froze because first thing to note is that my stepbrother owned this game, but he wouldn't let me play it. So to me, it's like the long-lost Castlevania brother that no one talks about because people really don't talk about Super Castlevania 4. So
yeah, it's a little different, and then it's very different, and the music is very, very different.
Yes, it is, and that's the thing that caught me. So Rob let me hear another couple tracks he had that he was choosing between, and they all have this same style. This doesn't feel like Castlevania. It feels like a nightclub lounge.
Yeah, this flute section right here, it's so good. It sounds like a real flute solo.
I feel like you'll get the Dracula's throne room and he'll just sit you down and tell you about his favorite records.
No, it's a scat battle. You're like, ba-dee-ba-da, boo-ba, ba-chee-ba-da.
I go to the castle, yo, and I do
Candle, holy water.
Don't that splash with the axe, man, say. The time watch,
this
the
part,
time happen.
I was not even expecting. I was listening to this in the car. And then the strings come in. Oh, it's amazing. This whole soundtrack is really different and just really cool.
Seriously, I'm going to have to come up with some kind of scat track.
Yeah, and then it loops like right here. Are you going to do it, or are you going to...
I'm not doing it now.
Come back to it?
I did bad enough on that weird flim-flam I just threw out of my pocket, but I'm going to make up one. It's going to be good.
Oh, man, I'm glad I picked this track. I hope you enjoyed it. This track, I just really, really dig this track. So let's move on out of this, and I think you've got some awesome picks for us, right?
I do. None probably surprising, so to speak, because I feel like the ones I name are going to be much more known, so no surprises. But they are good tracks.
No, you picked some amazing tracks. I know you did. So what you gonna do? What you gonna do next?
Thanks. Now you got me on a... I'm sweating over it. What if I chose a bad one?
You did not choose it. There's no bad.
I chose Castlevania Bedtime Story Stage 2.
Although I know that a lot of people, this type of music is not their thing, and they would probably say that this is the worst.
And they would be wrong.
I think I enjoy it. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
But it should be.
It's required listening.
Yes, it is. And if you don't like it, you're crazy.
Required Belmont listening. All right, so Castlevania 4, which Belmont? Which Belmont is it? Tell me.
Clive. It's Clive Belmont.
Is it Clive?
It's Clive Belmont.
I hope you're right. I forgot to write that one down.
I just made that crap up.
I was writing down every Belmont name, so...
There's just too many Belmonts.
There's a lot of Belmonts.
There's a whole lot of Belmonts.
You know what?
What a crappy family to be born into.
If you're just baby Belmont, there's a lot of expectation.
They had a Kid Dracula game. I'm sure baby Belmont probably made a cameo somewhere in it.
Oh, there was Kid Dracula, yeah.
There's a Kid Dracula. You know, so it's like...
Oh, did he fight baby Belmont at the end, or was Kid Dracula...
If he didn't, they dropped the ball.
Oh, they should have.
Baby Belmont should have showed up and his roller and his stroller, with a jump rope whip and some Lego blocks that he could throw.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's like Yoshi's Not Yoshi.
Like Yoshi's Island.
Yoshi's Island, yeah, where Baby Belmont is like hanging on the back of what would he ride?
That's a good question. I don't think there were really any animal sidekicks in the Castlevania series.
Yeah, I guess he would just have a bicycle.
Pretty much, unfortunately.
He had to ride his bike.
A zombie bike.
The Belmont bike.
That'd be a bike he got from the dead. A pawn shop.
Belmont bicycle. All right. What do you have, Pernell?
Castlevania 2. Not Simon's Quest.
Ooh.
Belmont's Revenge, actually.
Yes, I love this soundtrack.
The game... I'll get to that. Anyway, the track is called Psycho Warrior. It is the theme to the Rock Castle stage of Castlevania 2, Belmont's Revenge. Let's rock out. And you're back, and you're listening to Psycho Warrior from the game Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, written and composed by
Hidehiro Funaiuchi for the Game Boy.
Now,
this is an amazing soundtrack. So good.
So good. Real quick, go back to the beginning. You told me I could, and I want to hear it. I got to hear it. Because this thing...
I told you I'd do it. Here it comes.
See, like, this part, I don't even remember if it loops through the song. I just feel like it's only at the beginning.
But yeah, it's on the opening.
But it's so good. When I used to own this game,
oh man,
I would boot it up. After I'd beaten it already, mind you, I would boot it up just to play Crystal Castle and Rock Castle, which is this track. And then I would turn it off because after I'd already beaten the game, even though it was good, I was in it for the tunes, and I was in it for the best of the tunes. And this is one of those tunes.
Oh, that's a fantastic tune.
Sadly, I think I mentioned it earlier in the show, but while prepping for the episode, this track immediately came to mind. And I got nostalgic for it, and I went to my box of games to play it, because I was going to play it immediately, and it wasn't there. Apparently, I don't own it anymore, and I am sad about this. But I have fond memories of having it, playing at my grandma's house with the giant battery pack strapped to my waistband there.
I had the same thing.
It was so awesome. I was the cool kid with the giant Magno lens.
Yep.
But
yeah, they had all sorts of weird things to attach to the Game Boy, but there were so many awesome games for it.
Yes, there were, and I was going to say they're underappreciated, but let's be honest here, the Game Boy was not underappreciated. That system was a juggernaut back in the day.
Oh, and it went on for way longer than probably was expected to.
Oh, yeah, man. And then when somebody finally woke up, well, I see no correction, because there was actual competition. Oh, man, but to me, the best competition was the Neo Geo Pocket Color.
Ooh, yeah.
But by the time that came along, they were already too late because Game Boy Color was just around the corner. Yeah, sorry. The Game Boy Advance was just around the corner.
Yeah, right. The my love for fighting games was starting to peak around that time, and that was where my interest was peaking, and that's when I got the Neo Geo Pocket, because they had all of those fighting games for it.
Yes, it
did. And I knew one other person with a Neo Geo Pocket, and we played all the time.
And you didn't know me, but if you did, you'd have hated me, because I owned a Neo Geo Pocket, but I owned none of the fighting games. I had Puzzle Link and Puyo Pop and Dark Arms and Biomotor Unitron.
Oh, I had the fighting games, and I had Bubble Bobble.
Well, that's a good shot right there. Bubble Bobble's a good game.
Bubble Bobble Belmont.
That was the game.
Now we're coming up on I think my favorite part of this track, which is actually towards the end. Like the lead gets like really like emotional, like a guitar. It's really cool. It's after this section. So I do like the beginning, but it ends really good.
Actually, I thought I had about this series, like these Game Boy games, like they carried a lot of.
Yeah, here it is.
They had a lot of very uniqueness from the other games in the series. Like, if you think about Castlevania for NES, right, there were specific things that kind of carried across all the games. You had the Medusa heads, you had the Axe Knights, you had the zombies, the hunchbacks.
Your whip would level up.
Yeah, well, the level up still carried, but it was the monsters that were different. Like, for example, there were like giant rolling eyeballs.
Yeah.
They never showed up in any other Castlevania but like Belmont's Revenge.
It had some weird ones. I remember the like the weird little mummy zombie things that came around. They looked like these weird blobby monsters, but there's probably just like the Game Boy looking the way it did. But in my mind, it looked like these little. If you go to our Twitter, there's like a little bit of an animated GIF on our Twitter page. And just Belmont just whipping them.
He says whip it. Now, we're not going to stop making Devo jokes this episode, so get used to it.
All right, so, for now, Belmont's Revenge. Which Belmont is it?
Rupert.
Is that your final answer?
Actually, no. This time I know it.
You know it.
It's not Rupert Belmont. It is Christopher Belmont.
Yes.
For reasons that make no sense.
Christopher is a fine name for a Belmont.
It's not a fine name for a curse.
It's a fine name for a night out on the town
with your favorite gal.
All right, so we're gonna move on again out of the Game Boy. I'm moving into the Genesis, the only Castlevania for the Sega Genesis. This is Castlevania Bloodlines, and this is called Calling from Heaven. you are listening to Calling from Heaven, which is stage 6 from the game Castlevania Bloodlines for the Sega Genesis by the composer Michiru Yamane.
This game, I am so surprised you chose this track, but also I'm glad you chose a track from this game, because this is another of the red-headed stepchildren in the Castlevania line.
Yeah, a lot of people weren't into it. It's got like a lot of slowdown issues because there's a lot of special effects that you don't see in a lot of other Genesis games.
I think I had parallax scrolling.
There's crazy, a lot of parallax scrolling. There are sections of the game where there's like a river, and you can see a reflection in the river, and it's kind of wavy. Like Dracula comes out and he splits the screen up, and like you have to play like in weird parts of the screen, and like your controls get all backwards. It's really interesting, but yeah, it causes a lot of slowdown. So it's technically really cool, but that blast processing wasn't handled in Castlevania.
Well, I played through it like I think it was pretty sure it was West Coast Video Rentals. This was before I played on Sega Channel, and essentially, like for one, I'm positive that this. I was talking to you about this earlier, but I'm almost positive it was a boss rush level.
Yeah, I think there was a level where there's like you have to play all the bosses in a row.
And like this, I can't remember exactly when this came out. If it came out before Dracula X, but I'm also pretty sure this is the first Castlevania where you could play as a non-whip user as the main character.
Yes, Dracula X was 1995, and this came out in 94.
Ah, good. So I am right then. Sweet. Now, I know some listeners might be thinking, what about Dracula's Curse? What kind of a jerk bag are you? Not to get that. No, I get it. But they were still like kind of sub-characters. You couldn't start the game as Grant Dynasty.
Oh, right. Or Alucard.
Yes, right.
Unless you put a code in. In the American version, you can put a code in and do that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cheating.
I just learned about. I was like wikiing. I was like, "What's going on? I haven't played this in forever." And I was like, "Oh, you could do that. You need to make your name Help Me."
We here on Rhythm and Pixels do not support the act of cheating.
Yeah, we do not condone cheaters,
unless you want to. In which case,
yeah, anyway, type in. You get 10 extra lives because I'm horrible at these games. So I'm really bad. But I didn't play a whole lot of Bloodlines. I remember being really excited because I had a Sega Genesis and I never really had a Nintendo, and this was like I was like, well, I like to play a Castlevania game now, and it's going to be on like the more adult system where I could play the same system I was playing Mortal Kombat and ripping out throats.
You actually could see blood; they didn't sweat when you pulled their heart out.
Yeah. So I was like, this is cool, really hard, really different, very, very different.
I'm about to try to play this tonight. I want to. It's been a long time. I was also telling Rob, I haven't played this game since the 90s, but I kid you not, I don't even know how it got there or why it's there, but I have this on my coffee table right now, like the actual cart.
When you're like cleaning and you ran into it, and you're like, oh, I remember this game, this is great, and you just now left it there.
It's like, when did I buy it? I don't even know when I bought it.
Yeah, this soundtrack's interesting in that it's a lot like Castlevania 4. It's got kind of that jazzy prog rock kind of sound to it on a lot of the songs, but this is composed by Michiru Yamane, and she did the compositions for Symphony of the Night, one of the of course, the biggest Castlevania game now. And then I think she also did the music for a lot of the games for the Game Boy Advance, which makes sense because those are kind of in the vein of Symphony of the Night. Yeah,
because we're probably end up talking about that more next week. If we do that.
But yeah, we'll have it in our follow-up Castlevania episode. We'll talk about Symphony of the Night and all the other ones, which I don't know the names of, but you do.
Oh, I do for some reason. They're all up here somewhere.
Yeah, I haven't played Castlevania since Symphony of the Night.
Really?
No, I haven't played one.
There's too many things to remedy with you.
I know. What? I didn't have consoles. I stopped playing games.
Don't get me wrong. The guy turned out fantastically well.
I did okay. I'm all right.
He did all right. But now that he's all right, we gotta fix the past. We gotta make things right.
Like on this show, it's like we listen to music and we talk about the games, and you look at me like I've been in jail for the past 10 years, and I just came out, and you're like, Rob, you missed a whole lot while you were on the inside.
Didn't anyone write you any letters, man? I mean, come on, Dawn of Sorrow. It was a game. It existed.
I'm in there like trying to get my GED, and you're like, Rob, come on, man, you gotta play the Super Nintendo game. Like that was from the 90s, dude.
I'll stick it in with a cake. No one will know it's there. I'll send in a fake cake with a hacksaw on it. They'll get deterred by that. They won't notice the cart cake.
All right. Let's get out of my sadness and into your last track.
All right. Castlevania Bake Off Wars. Hacksaw on a slice.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. We're talking Belmont Bakery.
Yeah, we got frostings, we got gelatinousness, we got all kinds of things here. We're gonna whip it up, bam! Gonna make you taste something special you never had before. But for real, the track I'm choosing is actually a well-played favorite from the Castlevania 3 line, but I could not go to the show and not pick it. So
no doubt.
Have at it. The track is called Riddle, and it is from Castlevania 3, Dracula's Mambo. And please enjoy as you shuffle your way to good times.
That's right.
What goes in 2 ears, not out any others, and makes you feel real good when you listen to it? Riddle from Castlevania 3, which you are jamming out to right now. Written and composed by...
I have 4 composers on this one. I have Hidenori Mazazawa, Jun Funahashi, Yuki Morimoto, and Yoshinori Sasaki. Hidenori Masawa, I know, was actually the audio programmer and what had his hand in designing the VC chip.
So in that case, was the VC chip one in the Famicom cart?
Yeah, it's in the Famicom cart, the Japanese-only VRC6 chip. It added 2 additional pulse waves and an extra saw wave. So then they used it to make like that little wing in the background.
Well, here's the thing. This track is like, I've played the Famicom track for the Pernell and Matt Play Games episode, and most of the tracks definitely sound better on there, but not this one. This one sounds better on the US cart.
You know what? It's like they had to make decisions, right? So they only have so many instruments to have so many notes. Mm-hmm. They probably had to make very creative decisions to say, okay, this is where these notes are going to fit, and I think it makes the music a little bit tighter.
That's true. I think you're right about that.
Well, it's just, and it ends up just being different.
You know, like this here, it loops very quickly, sounds very awesome, and that's good because just like with most tracks, when I picked songs for this show, it comes from a dark memory because in fact, when I picked this track, the first thing that came to mind was Rushing Water, because that's one of the main components of this stage. It is known by many to be the hardest level in the entire game. It has rushing water, it has imps, or sorry, Igor imps and birds out the wazoo.
Yeah.
It's got
Anton's birds. It's like
they're jerk bags.
Over. Yeah, birds are along the lines of Medusa heads. They're gonna swoop. They swoop, right?
Well, no, the birds just when they fly by and they drop the hunchbacks on top of you.
Those little gremlin things.
Yes, that's the ones.
You have to get close enough and just duck under them. Oof.
And it has 2 other mean parts to this level too, both pretty unique for a Castlevania game. It has an auto-scrolling section.
Oh, that's
that
true.
Scrolls upwards.
Yes,
and it has a part. You know, it's like those weird ledges where if you jump on it, it flips.
Yeah.
There's a whole bridge of that, and Medusa heads and spikes under the flippy poles. So they're trying to encourage you not to jump. So you can't dodge them. You have to actually hit them or walk away. It is a pain in the butt. And then you fight the doppelganger at the end to just seal the deal.
Yeah, that thing just drains your health out of that. That's rough. Here, let's get back to the beginning of this track because it's really cool the way it builds up into this really fast-paced tune.
I like the idea that you had there. It's a very good idea.
Here it comes. And the little drum rolls.
And then you start getting into it's like there's so much happening here. Like you can follow multiple parts of this song at each loop
Oh, I know. There's just
and
like,
just not get bored.
there's so many things going on, and it's really short. I was surprised at how short it was, but like it loops. This little bridge section right here. So cool. That is just one of the coolest things.
This could be played in a kitchen when you're rushing to make a meal for your in-laws to come over and visit.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. It's got move.
You gotta move. Hurry up! The big. Oh my God! Put the bread in the oven. It's gonna over. No, it's overflowing.
I'm imagining like reaching for items in the pantry, like hey, getting salt. Where's that thing in the fridge? Can't find it.
Where is the milk? Oh, there it is. It's expired.
Oh man! All right,
Such a good tune.
Let's bring this down and let's get into the part of the show. Bring the music down all the way down into the bonus round.
Bonus round.
This is the part of the show where we turn off the classic tunes, turn off the original video game music, and we just listen to covers and remixes within the theme of today's show. Today's show is Castlevania, classic Castlevania. So we're going to be listening to covers and remixes from the classic Castlevania series. And we, as a surprise, we kind of picked from the same artist too.
And not just the same artist, but from two completely different areas of his catalog.
Yeah, a way different spectrum. So my first track is called Aqua Flash by Joshua Morse. It's also featuring another Rhythm and Pixels all-star Danimal canon. This is Aqua Flash. It's the song Aquarius from Castlevania 3. This came out on his album Vlad 2, which came out last year on the Game Chops label. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I thought you were going with that M Bison sound for a second. Yes! Yes!
Perfect. That was a perfect. I love that track. That thing was awesome. I heard it on SoundCloud a year ago. Yeah, it came out last year, and I just kept meaning to buy it. And then I knew we were doing a Castlevania episode. This is a Castlevania episode, and I was like, yes, I need to check out this album again. And yeah, it's 4 tracks on this little EP, Joshua Morse. It's called Vlad 2. You can find it on iTunes.
Electric Boogaloo.
And you can find it on GameShops.com. Really, every track is like that. So go buy it.
Yesterday.
Go buy it. Go buy it. It's not that expensive. You can do it.
Just reach into your coin purse. Your dollar tower.
You have the hearts to spend.
You do have the hearts to spend. This is true. Make it happen. Bring up the stopwatch till you find more.
All right, so you picked from Joshua Morse.
And my track sounds nothing like that. No. It's so weird. Like, I'm telling Rob, like, pick this, cue up this track, here you go. And he's like, so I chose the same guy. I'm like, okay, that's a shocker. But this just goes to show you how awesome this dude is. That in the span of all the different Castlevania tracks out there, we somehow managed to happen across the same composer.
Yeah, really, it's really crazy how that happened.
So, without further ado, the track I chose was a cover of another favorite of mine from Castlevania 3 that I didn't choose in favor of Riddle, being the Mad Forest. But in this particular case, his is Mad with 2 Ds, Mothers Against Drunk Driving Forest.
Let's do it.
Joshua Morse.
song.
Jamming on now. Don't listen to words.
And now we're at 30 seconds to the end of the song.
Cause I'm a Belmont, I swing this whip. Track is all around me, he ain't taking none of this. Face the fact that I'm a man who's got a power on his own. Got a boomerang in a hat that I like to wear when I'm getting the road. Going to town with my magic items.
Belmont,
Save
take
the
note.
Going to roll. This Castlevania a song.
Bring it down.
Down now.
Bring it down.
What the heck is wrong with me sometimes? I can't write a thing to save my life, but I can make words rhyme.
Sometimes.
On occasion.
So that was the Mad Forest by Joshua Morse. That was from his album Sonata of the Damned.
I don't feel all that damned after listening to that. Let me tell you what.
Yeah, you can pick that one up off of his personal Bandcamp. He's got a lot of albums. It's definitely one of those donation situations where, you know, give him some money for this one. I think this one deserves it.
Yeah, it deserves some sweet cocoa butter.
But that was good. That was. I looked over you and I was like, "Yo, Matt would love this track." You're like, "I'm texting him
Right now. I gotta tell him because this is a golden gem of a track.
Yeah,
and I didn't expect because I was looking for a hard rock track, something heavy and fast. But I came across this and I had to stop and just accept the fact that I'm not topping it tonight. This is where it's at. Not hard and fast, but laid back and smooth.
and just right. Sometimes like you got to be like in the mood for that kind of track, and I was in the mood for this kind of track.
I have to agree
That
with you
was
on
good.
that one. So well played, Mr. Morse.
Absolutely.
Well played, sir. It was awesome.
For more information on the artists, or the artist, as in this case, on the bonus round portion of our show, check out the website, rhythmandpixels.com. We'll have links to their Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and wherever you can find them, probably on iTunes. This is episode 3-10, classic Castlevania, as you can hear in the background.
So I hear you like Castlevania.
That's funny. That's funny. That's good stuff.
I had to. If I didn't do that, I'd felt awful. I would have felt awful.
Tell me another one. Guess how many Belmonts it takes to screw in a light bulb. Too many Belmonts.
God, you son of a... Well, one
He
thought I
thought
had as a last thought before I start rambling anything else, I was thinking about the whole episode. Imagine if the Simon Belmont from the TV show Captain N was the exact same personality that any of the mainstream Belmonts had in the games. And can you just picture them walking through those adventures with that dialogue and
Right.
that voice?
Now, it reminded me, Captain N, the cartoon, that Belmont, he was like Gaston, right?
Yeah,
He
very
was-
suave and I'll save the princess and then she'll love me.
That's right, yeah. But he was like Gaston mixed with that crazy captain from Futurama.
Yeah, Brannigan.
Zap Brannigan.
Yeah, he definitely was kind of like a nice call. That's a good call.
Yeah, caricature.
Yeah,
Kinda
good combination of those two because he had the Zap Brannigan voice and like his chin and all that nonsense. But
I remember back when that show came on, our house got a call from, I forget what channel it was on, and they were doing like a poll. Like they were like trying to like ask kids what they wanted on that show, and they were like, "Would you guys like maybe a Game Boy character that flew around and they could kind of ride him like a surfboard?" And I was like, "Yeah!"
they said a dark call.
Totally did.
So you're the reason we ended up getting Game Boy.
I remember getting like questionnaires and stuff about like new shows, and they wanted my brother's opinion on Saved by the Bell when it came on, and I was like young when the first.
More black kids that don't suck like Lisa.
You didn't like Lisa Turtle?
God, no, I didn't like Lisa Turtle.
The Turtle was her last name, right?
Yeah, it was Turtle. I couldn't stand Lisa Turtle.
Sorry, I couldn't stand any of them.
Understandable.
Maybe I always thought maybe it was because we're on the East Coast and they're on the West Coast, and that's just how they all were. But no, it's
Nah, and it's totally not. That actually came up earlier today with a friend of mine who started watching an old cartoon like Beverly Hills Teens or some jazz.
Oh, yeah.
And good animation and all, but I'll sit there and watch. Like, as much as I'm kind of enjoying this show, I don't know why, because it just comes across as being pompous and annoying, but it's entertaining.
Just like everybody else from the West Coast, right?
Don't
Oh,
kill
see,
us.
he thought that was funny. Yeah.
No. I'm just kind of blushing here, and I don't want any West Coasters to shoot us from afar.
Don't worry. He's from Eastern Europe.
Oh, in that case then.
He's not a listener.
What?
He doesn't listen to podcasts.
Oh, that's true. Well, I guess I'm safe then. No one has to know.
All right, I'm done playing with this track. All right, so yeah, episode 3-10. This has been 30, so we're starting a new season of Rhythm and Pixels next week.
Same new season, same sort of topic. Because we're sticking with Castlevania, but we don't know where we're going with
Yeah,
it.
so next season we'll have maybe modern or modern-ish Castlevania, or we might have something a little special for you, so please stay tuned because we're planning something actually really nice for 4-1.
Should be fun.
Tune in next week. If you'd like to contact us, send us a letter.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And if you want to get more information about us, about the show, and for full track listings, go to the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
If you like what you're hearing, please hit the subscribe button on Stitcher or on iTunes. And actually, it would really be great if... Okay, it would be really great if you could go out and, hit the subscribe button on iTunes and maybe leave us a rating or a comment. It takes like 1 minute, and it would really help everybody else be able to find this show. And if you like the show, you want other people to listen to it, that helps other people find us.
And help us to determine what it is that you might want to hear on the show, potential topics or interests.
Yeah, we are absolutely open to new topics.
Because we are getting ridiculous with some of these things, for better or worse, depending on who you are. But if you want us to kind of hone it in closer to something that you want to get down with, suggesting it is always what's best. So,
yeah, and there he is again, just letting us know that life is a comedy.
yeah, stop focusing on that laugh.
It is. It's killing me, and it's gonna keep coming back. I'm gonna have like crazy nightmares of this track.
If you do, you have to mention it next week.
Check us out on Twitter. It's at Rhythm and Pixels. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Rhythm and Pixels. And we're on Instagram now, so if you want to see some silly pictures of us doing silly things, check out our Instagram. It's just Rhythm and Pixels.
And we're talking silly things. I mean, I might drink a coffee. Rob mows the lawn sometimes. You don't know what's going to happen.
I don't own a lawnmower.
That will make it stranger now, won't it?
Yeah, and then if you check us out on Twitter, we'll do stupid, ridiculous things like give you a shout-out. The Wask at Waskerly Way. Thanks for the nice words. I told you we'd get a high five from Purnell. So from Purnell...
It's going! God, it hurt!
Got it.
You better enjoy that because now my hand isn't doing what it's supposed to do right now. That was very painful. But it was fun.
Thanks for the props. We appreciate it. So, check us out next week for a special 4-1 episode of the show. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Purnell.
Thank you for listening.
And remember, if you sometimes feel like a Belmont and a curse upon thee in your family, misunderstood or just unpleasant, sometimes the curse is all in your head. Flip the script. Toss around a kickball. Do whatever it takes. Lighten the mood. You might be your own cure for your own curse.
Ha 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 ha.
You son of a... No.
Ha 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 ha.